Hello everyone, Lakey here, and today I want to talk about crane sight and how I feel it can be improved, because I feel like with this map, the elephant in the room is that it has issues, and we kind of really haven't seen these issues addressed as the map has been updated over the years. Really, the largest changes to come to this map have been the visual overhaul that it has had, and that's really it. So I feel like it's time for this map to maybe get updated a little bit, and I'll go over how I think that can happen in this video. It's apparent to me that the map structure leads to spawn killing happening more against one team than the other, and that is happening against the Phantom side more often than it is happening to the Ghosts. If it was an issue with just bad team balance, I would write it off as such, like, okay, team balance wasn't good, that's why spawn killing happened. It can affect either side at an equal rate. But it seems like more so than not, if spawn killing is happening, it's against the Phantom side. And so it's clear to me that based off of that, the issue is maybe more so with the map than it is in team balance or team composition being poor. The area I really think it comes down to is the structures that each side has access to. So the Ghosts, for example, have access to the office building that's complete, along with the parking garage that's complete. And then the Phantoms have access to the gas station, along with the, it's just a kind of construction building, the blue and white building. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And these are not equal structures in any way. The Ghost structures have better sightlines, better cover, and just better capability for playing on the map than what the Phantoms buildings have. The gas station, in my opinion, is the worst offender in this case, as one of the spawn points on it literally just puts you in the open, no regard for sightlines in that matter, and that's just an awful structure to play from, doesn't provide much cover, and isn't really a suitable structure to counter the enemy with. And then when we look to the other construction building, it's alright, it has more cover, but the height difference I feel like is maybe what causes a bit of issue, as with the central building, which plays a key role in the spawn killing, you can sit atop that and just continually shoot into the Phantom spawn. And as far as countering that, none of the structures on the Phantom side really give much remedy to that. I feel like having to shoot up like that and having the sightlines that you're vulnerable to just aren't really equal and isn't adequate enough to really recover all that much from spawn killing. So with the route that I've gone for trying to improve this map is that it more so tries to make it easier to recover from being spawn killed, more so than it aims to stop spawn killing from happening in the first place. With spawn killing, it could happen because of bad map layout, bad team balance, or bad team composition, so you can't always bet on just stopping it all outright. So hopping into Studio here, I'll show you what changes I have made. I would just like to note that this was an older version of the map, so the bridge between the parking garage and the completed office building is not present, and some of the models, crates, cars, and whatnot I had to place back in as those were also not present. But yeah, just excuse that a little bit. I tried to add some stuff back in. The crates as well were not present. So as you can see here, some changes. I'll get to that second. Let's just take a look at the Phantom side here first, as that is where the biggest changes have happened. So as you can see, I have replaced the gas station and I have shifted over the blue and white construction building. In place of where the blue and white construction building used to be, I have added in this office building that is semi-complete, as though it's being built. This is kind of to reduce redundancy on the map, as I didn't want to just copy-paste the office building into it. With this, I think that this structure would provide more equal footing for the Phantoms compared to the central incomplete office building in the middle here. It has more cover, and I feel like you can snipe from it better. Taking a look at the sightlines from the top here, it definitely feels more equal in stance to what the other office building has as far as combating that central building goes. And then I just got rid of the gas station because that one was just not really a good piece of cover. It's the same piece of structure that is on dunes, and I just feel like it doesn't provide much, and the spawns on it are just not good. It provides the illusion that it provides cover and structure, whereas in reality it doesn't. So yeah, I've kind of replaced that with this. This is where the old gas station used to be. The point, of course, had to be restructured a little bit as the gas station is no longer there, and I added another crate atop of this. This is just to have some more cover. It is, of course, wall bangable just with the other stuff on the roof, but it should be maybe easier to fight from this position. This point, I believe it would be the A flare point, also has some more cover to it in these barriers, and this forklift here just provides some cover because I recognize that in this parking garage you could be seen from up here, so players would need to be aware of that, but the roof is really the main place you would want to be fighting anyways. And then as far as the sightlines in this building goes, here's a look at what that looks like from the different floors. You can see into the office building, but that was something that you could already do in the previous version on the roof, so you could still see. This is a little bit of what those sightlines look like. Sorry for the box. There's a billboard up here as well. You can see a little bit of the other parking garage over there. Let's go down another floor, shall we? So kind of all bases of elevation are covered here. Let's just keep going. So yeah, that's what those sightlines look like in there if you were curious. I tried to be mindful of those, as that is pretty important on this map. Another change that I made was to these fences that line this area here. This was something that I took issue with that I don't really see many other people take issue with, but to me it felt like the way that these fences were placed created a bit of an unnecessary choke point in some areas, and it felt really annoying, like not being able to run up to something. So over here, for example, was an area that really just irked me. This whole fence area was it was fenced in, and I think there was an opening here, or maybe there was one opening here, but so when running from your spawn, you had to run kind of into areas where you were more vulnerable to enemy sightlines, and I didn't like that. It just didn't really make sense to me. I wanted to make it more easier to get out even though there is fencing, so I removed some of those just because it was just kind of weird to me the way that you just couldn't run straight out from your spawn. I don't know if this was done purposefully. I think it was probably just a visual change with no malintent in mind, but at least for me as a player, I just hated having those fences there, so I did away with a few of them, but it's still mostly similar. The back of this incomplete office building also has scaffolding so that spawns placed back here can easily make their way up that building, and you don't have to go on the side again like you used to and expose yourself to this sightline over here. So that is really the biggest change so far. And then another thing that I think is of note is up here in this central building. As you can see, the hill is no longer present in the spot that you would normally expect it to be. I have instead moved it to where the C point would be. And this is just to centralize it a little bit more. If we take a look at the map and if we agree that the structures of this office building and the parking garage generally belong to the ghosts, which I would say they do, there are spawns over here, inside this building, and inside the parking garage that all belong to the ghosts, they definitely have more of an advantage right off the bat when it comes to the hill. I really don't understand the placement of it, because if I spawn in, say, right over here, I can just walk up to this window and I have a sight line down onto a part of where the hill would be. Or if I spawned over here, which is another spawn point, I can simply walk over here and look down over the hill. Or if I spawned over here, for example, I can walk out, look at the hill as well. And then same thing for the parking garage. You have sight lines all pointing to the hill. So that placement didn't make sense to me when you consider that the phantoms, often spawning kind of behind where they were, have to walk all this way to the central building just to get a glimpse of the hill, and it just didn't make sense to me. I feel like putting it where the C point is creates a more competitive place for the hill to be. and it just makes more sense in my opinion as far as balancing the map control that both sides have. So that pretty much sums up the changes I made to Crane Site. Although it is not as impactful of completely revamping the map and changing the layout very drastically, I still feel like maybe, hopefully, it would help in the event of spawn killing while still keeping the same way that Crane Site would play that we all know and love. In my map ranking video, people expressed that this was one of their favorite maps, and I really enjoy playing on it too when the team balance and team composition and everything is all in order, but it's just sad to see it fall behind when spawn killing happens more so against the Phantom side, and that kind of thing just feels like it hasn't really been addressed. The crane is still there and still accessible in the same position, and the water towers and parking garage and all the same buildings are still there that you can still snipe from and trick shot from and do all of that, but just I feel like a necessary change was maybe propping up the Phantom side a little bit more, as it seems that they often get the short end of the stick when it comes to the map. So I would be curious to get your thoughts on this. Do you like these changes? What feedback could you give me? What would you do differently if you would do something differently? Be sure to let me know in the comments. I am definitely open to different interpretations of how maybe making spawn killing recovery easier for the Phantom side would be. With maps and revamps, I feel like if you're aiming to kind of fix spawn killing or something like that, you either aim to prevent it from happening right at the start, or you just make it easier for one team to recover from spawn killing. And so that's the latter route is where I've gone. So yeah, I didn't want to massively mix up the map and do something too experimental because I don't think that it needed that. I think it just needed a little bit of change to really get it to the point that it needs to be at. I don't know what you would call this. I don't know if you can call it a revamp, but considering we already have Crane Site revamp, would this also be Crane Site revamp, or would it be Crane Site revamp? Because Crane Site revamp has a revamp, so that's also Crane Site revamp. I'm not sure. But whatever name we decide to go with, I hope it helps. Part count is pretty much still the same. It's about a few hundred, like 500, 600 more parts, and it's about 14,000 something parts, which isn't bad. I think the original place that I began working on this had a part count of about 13,800, so it's not too much of an increase and hopefully wouldn't be too impactful. So as I said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.